Welcome back to Stacy's Bookcase. This is Stacy, and this is my follow-up to the Reading Rush Challenge. If you want to see the video where I talk about the prompts for the rush and why I chose each book, I'll try to remember to link it in the upper right-hand corner. So let's get right into it. So I finished Sandman, Volume 1, Preludes and Nocturnes by Neil Gaimon over the weekend during the Reading Rush, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed reading it. I like the art in it as well. I read Overture, the prequel, first, and I loved the art in Overture. And it would be really hard to find something to beat that, but I still really enjoyed the art in Preludes and Nocturnes. And what I love about it is the way the pages are set up. I love the borders for the pages and the backgrounds behind the panels, and just how it makes everything so much more interesting and fun to read as I'm going through it. The story was also really good. You see Dream sort of outside of his environment. He's sort of pulled out of it, so we see him sort of in a world we're somewhat familiar with, and that's how we get introduced to his character. I didn't realize how connected it was to the DC universe. I'm not a huge fan of superhero comics, but the references and appearances were not too overwhelming. There wasn't any point where I felt like I didn't understand what was going on because I wasn't familiar with any DC characters or past DC events. There were definitely a few names where I thought that I would have been familiar with them if I were more familiar with the universe, but the fact that I didn't know who they were or what their backstory was didn't keep me from still enjoying the story and being able to move forward. I also believe that this volume, that after this volume, the series shifts away from the regular DC universe and focuses more on Dream and his brothers and sisters, the Endless. I'm not 100% certain. I did read that somewhere, I can't remember where, but I'm hoping that this is the case because I'm really interested in the Endless. You see a lot of those characters in Overture, where you get a lot more interaction with them in Overture, and I found them really interesting, and I definitely wanted to see more of them, and I was hoping to see more of them throughout the series. So I'm really hoping that we get to see more of certain characters. There was one in particular that I really liked that I hope that we get to see more of, and it wasn't just something that was created for Overture, but I won't find out until I continue. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I'm very excited to continue the series. The next one, Volume 2, I believe is called The Doll's House. I don't have it yet, but I will pick it up eventually. I think there are like 11 volumes, around 11 volumes. Let me know which one is your favorite, which volume you enjoyed the most. I want to know what I have to look forward to. Also, over the weekend, I listened to Tin Man by Sarah Winman, which is also narrated by the author, and I think she did a pretty good job narrating. I was able to get immersed in the story. My only complaint was the dialogue. It was kind of hard to distinguish who was talking at times, who was saying what, but it wasn't bad enough that I wasn't able to figure it out and enjoy the story. And as for the story, it started off really sad, like very sad, but it's one of those where the character starts off at rock bottom. They're already at rock bottom when you start the story, and then you see them as they try and pick themselves back up. It was very good, very emotional. I felt very strongly for the main character and his two companions. The author was good at evoking strong emotions such as grief and regret, loss and hope. I think out of all the audiobooks that I have, I would listen to this one again. That might be because it's the shortest one that I have, but I think it's also because it was very moving and still easy to listen to. So it would be enjoyable to listen to again. Also, listening to this kind of made me want to pick up more contemporary books. I'm not 100% sold on the genre, but I would be interested in exploring it more. I think I'm just worried about spending time on finding books among this huge genre that I would enjoy. So if you have any recommendations for some good contemporaries, let me know and I will look them up and see if there's something I would be interested in. Because that would be very helpful in regards to me getting into this genre, which is huge. Contemporary is a huge genre to get into. Another book that I read for the reading rush was The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by Frank Baum. I was never a huge fan of the movie, so I'm not sure why I picked up the book. I got it a long time ago at a thrift store. It was only $1 at the time, but I'm glad I picked it up. It was a pleasant read. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It wasn't stressful or thrilling. It didn't make me anxious or upset. It was just a fun children's book. I probably would have really enjoyed it when I was a kid. It was much more different from the movie than I thought it would be. It was simpler. The problems that the characters faced were resolved within a page or two. There was also a queen mouse, which is pretty cool. Overall, I liked it. Does this mean I'm going to read the other Oz books? Because I'm pretty sure there are other ones. No, I'm not. This was good enough for me, but I am glad that I chose this for the reading rush because I think it probably would have been a long time before I picked it up to read because it wasn't on my radar at all. It wasn't something that I was really interested in. It was just something I picked up randomly one day and it's lived on my shelf ever since. But I read it. It was nice and pleasant to read during these stressful times. Lastly, I read A Princess of Mars by Edgar Burroughs. This book inspired the Disney movie John Carter. It's very different, although the key characters in the movie or from the movie are still the same for the most part. It was a pretty good read. I liked it. It was very classic hero princess tale, only on Mars. There's lots of war and death, but Mars is the god of war, which is mentioned a lot in the book, so it fits here. It also felt very masculine, sort of like here's a story about a man that people can look up to or young men can look up to. I didn't really mind that because the world that this is all happening in is so interesting. Martian societies are centered around their need to survive off of their planet's depleting resources, and there are hints to centuries or millennia old societies that used to live on Mars, which is so cool. This is the first book in a series, and I think I would like to see where the rest of the series has to go, what else it has to offer. There were some differences between the book and the Disney movie, and I'm wondering if some of the things that happen in the movie are things that are addressed later in the series. Also, another reason I want to continue this series is just the way that the book ends is in such a simple way. There's just a question that you have to ask yourself of how and why. I don't want to get into spoilers. It's just the character does something and it makes you wonder what is going to happen next. It's not necessarily a cliffhanger, but it's just a little bit to make you wonder. So yeah, I do plan on continuing it, although I'm not sure exactly when that'll be. I don't have the other books in the series, so it might be a little bit before I actually continue it. Overall, I had a really good week. It was a fun challenge. I didn't overexert myself or overestimate myself. I also got to read a few things that I wasn't planning on reading anytime soon. I think if it wasn't for this, I have no idea when I would have read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz or even A Princess of Mars. And I probably never would have read Tin Man. As for Sandman, I probably would have read that eventually, but this gave me a great excuse to actually go out and pick it up. I'd like to do more reading challenges like this in the future to mix up my reading. I've written down some prompts and put them in a cup so that I can use that to challenge myself each month and maybe read something different. I'm also going to keep an eye out for more reading challenges like this, so if you know of any, please let me know. Which ones have you enjoyed participating in the past? Well, anyways, thanks for visiting my channel. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.